and that's what just happened. So this is within the severe thunderstorm warning from earlier. Clinton included in the tornado warning, as well as Salemburg and Roseboro. Those communities are included. And I want to get a closer look kind of inside this warning. I'm going to pull up the information on the warning from the National Weather Service to see how quickly it's moving. It's moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour, and the rotation, the rotation in this storm is about 13 miles west of Clinton right now, so it's pretty much right overhead in the Salemburg and Roseboro community. So the storm's going to be around Clinton right around 7:30. Don't have a lot of time to get inside. If you live in Clinton, it's only about 5 to 10 minutes away. You need to be headed into the lowest level of your home and the most interior room as quickly as possible. Grab your kids, grab your pets, go ahead and head there as soon as you can. The rotation that we are seeing right now is near Roseboro and Salemburg. There is even some weak rotation in eastern Cumberland County behind this, but what I want to do here is I want to show you how quickly the winds are spinning. We're seeing wind speeds around 35 miles per hour one way, 32 miles per hour the other way. So wind shear here, we're looking at about 65 miles per hour. So those are pretty strong winds. Typically when the number gets up to 80, that's when you have more concern that there could actually be a tornado on the ground. But the rotation is strengthening, and that's what's prompted this tornado warning for Sampson County until 8:15. So we've got about 45 minutes left within this warning. What I want to do, I want to put a storm track on this for you. That was a valuable tool when we were tracking the tornado warning earlier that moved through Cumberland County. I want to let the folks in Sampson County know how they need to prepare. We're going to get a lot more towns on this, don't worry. We want to make sure all neighborhoods are included and that everybody has the opportunity and time to seek shelter. We'll keep you safe throughout this tornado warning over the next 45 minutes. Snow Hill, the center of circulation here, and the rotation should arrive right around 7:30, 4 minutes from now. Bonnetsville right around 7:36, so you've got 10 minutes from now. Johnstontown right around 7:40, so that's about 15 minutes from now for Johnstontown and Piney Ridge. Clinton between 7:30 and 7:40 is when we expect this storm to arrive. If you live on the west side of town, it's not far away. I would say about 5 minutes, so go ahead, be seeking shelter quickly. Moultonville, 7:48 p.m. Elliott, 7:51, that's about 20 minutes from now. Hargrove Crossroads and Turkey, 7:53, and that would be still within the tornado warned time. I will say the tornado warning goes until 8:15, but given the speed of this storm, I think that the greatest threat's going to be out of here by about 8 o'clock, so we'll watch it and see if it actually goes all the way until 8:15 for this tornado warning. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about where we have the strongest rotation right now over Salemburg and Roseboro. This is going to be tracking right along State Highway 24. Right now the rotation is over South Salemburg Highway and Highway 24. We're eventually going to see this track right along State Highway 24 into Clinton and cross over 421 in Clinton. So if you live in Clinton and you are traveling along 421, try to quickly get to a safe place. We are simulcasting coverage on Mix 101.5, and we will continue to do so while this threat persists. So the storm's moving toward Clinton. It's going to be headed for Turkey, and I think our greatest threat is going to be over by 8 o'clock in terms of the tornado warning. Inside the storm, we get new scans about every 3 minutes, giving us a view inside the storm and where we've got the rotation. This scan isn't any stronger than the last in terms of the rotation, which is a promising sign. But let's take a wide view here. I kind of want to reset of what we've been watching over the past hour. So we're going to loop this over the past hour. About an hour ago in northern, just north of Lumberton in northern Robeson County along I-95, there was a possible debris signature on the radar, which could indicate that a tornado touched down in northern Robeson County right around 6:30. The National Weather Service may be headed out to actually survey that damage, and it was right after that signature came up that we saw stronger rotation on the radar, and that's what prompted the tornado warning earlier in Cumberland County. That expired right at 7:15, and then we had a brief break while that that storm tracked into Sampson County before it strengthened again. But the concern here, and why we're on the air with you with this tornado warning right now in Sampson County, is that this storm may have produced a tornado earlier. So it may have that history of producing a tornado and damage, and that's one of our concerns that we're watching this evening. In addition to the severe weather concerns, we are also monitoring a flash flooding risk. So I want to take a look at the triangle right now. The good news here in the triangle is that the heavy rain has cleared out of the triangle. Durham, still some light rain, and the rain that's moving over Pittsboro is going to be headed for Wake County here over the next 20 to 30 minutes, should be crossing into Wake County. However, it's not as heavy as what we saw earlier. Still, the flash flood warning for Wake County is in effect until 9 o'clock. If you can stay off the roads until 8 o'clock, please try to do that. After 8 o'clock, I think we'll start to see some improvements on the roads, but any low-lying spots or spots that you know of that typically flood around your neighborhood, think Crabtree. There's plenty all over Wake County that we all know of. Depending on what neighborhood you live in, try to avoid those areas. We saw so much rainfall in such a short period of time. We're talking over 2 inches of rain in Wake County. I mean, where you see all that purple across pretty much the entire county is 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain. A lot of that fell during the evening commute and was able to pile up quite quickly on the roads. In addition to our threat for flooding across Wake County and Johnston County and Harnett County, a flood advisory remains in effect until 9:30. I'm going to look at some of the new radar data coming in. I will speak up if I see any signs of strengthening. Meteorologist Amy Wilmoth is standing by with a live look at Clinton as that storm approaches. Amy.
I keep moving it around just to see if I can see anything. The storm is still west of town if you're in Clinton, but you need to be in your safe spot because it's moving to the east at 30 miles per hour, so it's moving pretty fast. So I'll keep a close eye on this camera. I'll keep panning the skies and let you know if I actually end up seeing anything. Certainly a good camera to have down there in Sampson County with this tornado warning currently in effect. This is a look at the big picture. So most of the triangle, the heaviest rain is moving out. It's going to be moving into the northeastern part of the viewing area along I-95. It's going to be pretty rough here for a while as these storms continue to push to the east. We've also seen a little bit of rotation in Johnston County. No warning yet, but we're keeping a close eye on parts of Johnston County as well. If you are under a tornado warning, you have to get into your safe spot. So that's you if you're in Clinton. If you're in Sampson County near Clinton, you need to get into your safe spot, and that would be into an interior room on the lowest level of the building that you're in, a room that doesn't have windows, like a closet, maybe a bathroom. That's the safest spot that you need to be in at this moment in time if you're under that tornado warning. I want to go ahead and send it over to Brian Schrader in the Live Center with an update on the roads this evening. Brian.
Amy, on radar, you showed us how the heaviest rain is now moving out of Wake County, but we're still dealing with wet roads. And take a look at this camera at I-40 at Jones Sausage Road, looking back toward the Beltline. We have a crash blocking left lanes in both directions, and we are picking up at least a little bit of a delay on that westbound side of I-40 heading away from Rock Quarry Road back toward the Jones Sausage Road area. Elsewhere around the triangle, as we mentioned, traffic volume is eased up, but we're still seeing some delays on 440 westbound right now with a crash reported around Six Forks Road, and we still have those backups between Durham and Hillsborough on 85 southbound, right around the US 70 interchange. This is that crash with the overturned vehicle there. We're sending Willie Danley of the WRAL Breaking News Tracker to check that out.
Thanks, Brian. We are keeping a close eye on the new radar scans as they come in. A tornado warning in effect. This is in effect until 8:15 for Sampson County. And this is eventually going to move out of our area once we see this tornado warned storm that's centered right here over Roseboro right now. Cross over I-40, it will be out of our viewing area. And I think the threat's really going to be ending shortly after that. If we look at the HD Doppler network right now, I did want to point out we've got a lot of heavy rainfall even north of this warning right now, Newton Grove. It is pouring rain where you are. There's some strong wind gusts recorded in the area as well. However, even though it may seem like it when you look outside, you are not included in the tornado warning. That tornado warning is south of you if you do live in Newton Grove there in Sampson County. So I'm going to look inside the storm and point out the rotation in just a moment. But I do want to mention, if you are just joining us and you live in Sampson County, you are under a tornado warning. The difference between a watch and a warning, the warning is when it's the real deal. We see the rotation on the radar. It's already happening. And when a warning is issued, that's when you need to take action. And that's what we've been telling you to do, to go indoors, go to the lowest level of your home, the most interior room, and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Keep in mind, it is May. This is the #1 month for tornadoes to touch down in North Carolina, unfortunately. And we could have seen one touch down just about an hour ago, just over an hour ago, in just north of Lumberton in Robeson County. And it was this same storm that's moving through Sampson County right now that may have produced that tornado earlier north of Lumberton, and that's one of our concerns. If you're watching and you're wondering, well, am I going to see any threat of a tornado at my house? It is limited, that threat, to our southeastern counties, and that's because there's a front nearby and there's some wind shear. That's the ingredient needed for thunderstorms to begin to rotate. So in the triangle, points north, the air is far too stable for there to be any threat of rotation or a tornado forming, which is good news if you live in the triangle. But there is, of course, still that concern in our southern counties that we're watching right now. So let's go ahead and dive deeper into the storm. We want to look inside the storm. This is called velocity, and this shows us where the winds are moving inside a storm. And what we're seeing right now is the strongest winds, and where we have the rotation, I'll draw it out for you on the map. It's right over Highway 24. We mentioned Highway 24 earlier, and that the trajectory of the storm would carry the rotation over Highway 24 all the way into Clinton. And that's what we are seeing pan out right now. So it's right here that we have the rotation that we are tracking, where you see the green, that's where the winds are moving toward the radar. The red, the winds are moving away from the radar, and they're really close together, so we know that there's some circulation going on high up in the sky. Keep in mind, Sampson County is fairly far away from the radar site, so as I hover over here in the middle of that circulation, the radar is sampling this at a height of about 1,600 feet up. So it's not at the surface necessarily. It doesn't mean we have a tornado on the ground right now, but higher up in that cloud, we do have some rotation, and it's a decent rotation signature. It's not the strongest that we've seen today, but I want to clear this off and kind of loop this over the past 15 minutes or so. When that warning first popped up, we saw a little bit brighter shades of red and green when this warning first popped up at 7:24, so about 10 to 15 minutes ago. Since then, you know, it's held together. It's a strong enough signature for rotation for there to be a tornado warning and for you to be seeking shelter if you live in Sampson County, but we haven't seen it strengthen, which is good news. And in fact, you just saw the new radar scan come in there live on TV right now. We get a new one about every 2 to 3 minutes now, given the way the radar is set up, and it's weakened a little bit, that rotation, as it approaches Clinton, which is good news there. And of course, we've been watching the camera. I've been watching it out of the corner of my eye. Meteorologist Amy Wilmoth has had it up over there, looking for any signs of a tornado or lowering on the ground. I've also been looking at our debris detector inside this storm to see if I saw any evidence of different shapes and sizes of objects being thrown up into the sky, and I haven't seen that, which is good news. That's what was actually seen earlier in northern Robeson County that led to the conclusion that there could have been a tornado that touched down there earlier. So we have lots of things that we're looking through on the dual Doppler 5000 radar over here, just to cycle through and see kind of what's going on in Sampson County inside this storm. And again, nothing's really strengthened, nothing's looking any worse than it was before, and that's exactly what we want to see. Let's go ahead and put a storm track on this, and where we've got the center of rotation right now. The storm is moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. We're going to add some additional towns to this, and then after that, we're going to do a reset, because we're starting to see some changes outside in other parts of our area as the rain clears out. Snow Hill, about 2 minutes from now, is when the circulation is going to arrive. Bonnetsville, it's about 7:45. Piney Ridge, 7:48. Johnstontown, 7:49. Butler's Crossroads, 7:50. It may be closer to 7:50 on the east side of town in Clinton that we see the arrival, but I still think it's pretty imminent. If you live closer to the west side of town in Clinton, you need to go ahead and be seeking shelter. And in the Turkey community, right around 8 o'clock. After 8 o'clock, so about 20 minutes from now, the center of circulation should cross out of Sampson County, and I expect that we're going to be able to see this tornado warning expired early in Sampson County, which is some good news there, but we're going to monitor it until that threat moves out of our area. So big picture of what we're watching right now, we dealt with widespread soaking rain during the evening commute today. Everybody was seeing rain. We are starting to dry out, though, in parts of our viewing area, and I told you that would happen right around around sunset if you live in the Triangle. And that's what we're seeing happen right now. There's just a few showers left that are going to be crossing into Wake County closer to 8 o'clock. After that, we're done with the bulk of the rain. And our northern counties, you know, if you live in Rocky Mount, Wilson, up into Warrenton, Roanoke Rapids, you may not be done with the rain until closer to 10 o'clock tonight. So our northeastern counties still have a long ways to go in the rain. It's just our southern counties that have this severe weather threat for a quick spin-up tornado to fire up. And so we're monitoring that threat right now in Sampson County. We'll keep an eye on Wayne County. I can't 100% rule it out in Wayne County, but the threat in Wayne County is lower compared to what we've got going on in Sampson County right now. And then once all this clears out later on tonight, we are looking at another threat for severe storms tomorrow. And tomorrow is more of your typical severe weather setup where you're dry during the first part of the day. You don't see much rain until the afternoon and evening, and then these storms fire up in a more scattered fashion. The storms that we're seeing today, given the way the atmosphere is set up, they're actually pretty short storms. The ones tomorrow could grow really tall. That opens the door for them to produce some hail. And what I mean when I say a short storm, one of the reasons why that's concerning for us is that it just doesn't take very much time for a quick tornado sometimes to spin up. So if we actually look at the storm in 3D, I can do that for you. We're going to zoom in on the storm, and I'll tell you how tall it is right now. So here's inside this tornado warned storm. It's about 20,000 feet tall, 15 to 20,000 feet tall. Typically, when you get these big supercells that produce violent tornadoes and hail in them, they've got to be at a minimum of 30,000 feet tall, which is, you know, typical cruising altitude of an airplane. And this is a pretty short storm that we're seeing over Sampson County right now. So it's not your usual severe weather setup that we are tracking. There is a threat for severe weather tomorrow, as I mentioned. Tomorrow is more of your typical severe weather setup. Meteorologist Amy Wilmoth is standing by with that severe risk map for tomorrow, Amy.
Yeah, just wanted to show this since you mentioned it, Kat, that we do have that potential for another round tomorrow. And actually everything that we were looking at for today, when we were looking at this yesterday and this morning, the storm energy for today was low and the energy for tomorrow was much higher. And so tomorrow we do expect some severe storms, everyone under that level 1 risk for severe storms. The biggest threat would be damaging winds with tomorrow's storms. And as Kat mentioned, it's going to be the second half of the day. The morning is probably going to be dry for your morning commute. And I think we're going to be fine overnight tonight while you're sleeping. A lot of people are afraid of severe storms. I don't think we're going to have to worry about this while we're sleeping tonight. You can also see that we're double boxing here with the Clinton Skycam. We are keeping a close eye on that. I keep panning it around just to see if I see anything as this storm approaches the town of Clinton. It's still just to your west, but it's moving pretty quickly at about 30 miles per hour to the east. So we'll keep a close eye on that camera down in Sampson County. But we do have another round potentially tomorrow in the afternoon and evening hours. I also wanted to take a look and see about the power outages. Kat showed this a short time ago. Still seeing some spotty power outages in the counties that you see shaded in blue. Don't see any down here in Sampson County right now, but just some spotty power outages. We haven't had anything widespread as far as power outages go. And one more look at the broad picture here of the radar. We have 2 areas we're watching right now that are of most concern in Sampson County. Obviously, we have the tornado warning, keeping a close eye on that, and our camera in Clinton. And we also had the flash flood warning in effect for Wake County. They're kind of chipping away at that as the heaviest rain starts to move away, but still a good part of the county under a flash flood warning until 9 o'clock tonight. But now the heaviest rain moving into our eastern counties and along I-95. It's going to get really messy here along I-95 for quite a while until all of this can get out of here. So we'll keep monitoring both of these warnings. Obviously, most concerned about the tornado warning, but the rotation hasn't been super strong with that particular cell. So hopefully there's nothing that's actually making it to the ground and it's just some rotation in the upper levels, Kat.
And you know, Amy, I've been watching the new radar scans as they've come in, and I want to loop this for you and just kind of draw out what I'm seeing here. So here's the initial storm that we've been watching right in here as it moves to the northeast, but see this stuff kind of out ahead of it here? Notice how it almost kind of like loops back in. It's almost like they're merging together, and that's helping to strengthen some of the rotation. I haven't seen the strongest signature of the day by any means when I've looked at the velocities inside the storm searching for the rotation, but just just big picture, when you look at it here, as we see this one cell move to the east right overhead in Clinton, we're starting to see some of the energy from these little cells ahead of it kind of get wrapped into it. And that's a concern that we have for this. And the National Weather Service mentioned that possibility earlier. That's one of the reasons why they issued this severe thunderstorm warning at the beginning, was the way the atmosphere was set up. So, we're not in the clear. If you live in Clinton, that's a concerning look that I'm seeing on the radar, and you do need to be seeking shelter still. If you have family and friends who are under the tornado warning, don't forget, have them pull out their phone. They can live stream our coverage through the WRAL app. I know it's scary when you got to sit in a bathroom or a basement or a closet and you just don't know when it's safe to come out. We'll let you know when it's safe to do so. One other quick thing I wanted to mention, a damage report we got in from the assignment desk. We do have a report of a tree down on North Main Street and North Ennis Street. This is in Fuquay Arena, by the way. So we did have some strong winds, possibly flooding, that brought that tree down in Fuquay Arena. There continues to be flooding issues around the triangle. All right, let's pause this radar loop here. There is a new radar scan in, so I do want to look inside the storm on the new radar scan and kind of just loop it back over the past 15 minutes to get a little context here for what we've got going on. Folks, if you live in Salemburg or Roseboro, we promised we would give you the all clear when it was time. Now is the time. The worst of the storm is over for Salemburg and Roseboro. You've been dropped from the tornado warning, and that rotation is to your east. Clinton, you are not in the clear just yet. Here's where we've got the rotation moving through right now. We've got winds moving toward the radar, and then winds moving away from the radar in Clinton. And this is pretty much right overhead in Clinton, but especially along Highway 24 right now and 421. So 421, a pretty popular road in Clinton. If you're on 421, the rotation is about to move overhead in the next couple of minutes. If you're able to, please pull over, get off the road. That's going to be your best bet. One thing I do want to do here is I'm actually going to switch radar sites and take a look inside this storm using the Wilmington radar site, just to see if there's anything different that I can see here, anything more concerning. I'm really not seeing it look any worse from that radar. It just, as we get farther away from the Raleigh radar site, you're scanning higher up in the atmosphere. So I did want to get a little bit lower level of a scan. And I want to point out this other area of rotation. There's not a tornado warning on it. It's very weak rotation, but just pointing it out to let you know that we are keeping our eye on it, and we will keep you safe if we happen to see it spin up or get any worse. This is just northeast of Garland along 701. It'll eventually cross south of Clinton on 421, that second area of rotation. Again, not strong, but just starting to pop up, so it's worth keeping our eye on. No other signs of concerning rotation out there at this point. We've got some rain in Cumberland County. It's still raining in Roseboro, but the stronger rotation has moved to your east and continues to move away from you in Roseboro. We continue to monitor this tornado warning as it moves through Sampson County and Clinton. The tornado warning is in effect for about 30 more minutes. As I've mentioned since the beginning of this tornado warning, though, I don't think the threat is going to extend all the way to 8:15. I would expect the threat to be over closer to 8 o'clock because the storm should pass east of our viewing area by the time we get to 8 o'clock. Now, if you live north of this tornado warning, so I'm talking about Johnston County, especially east of I-95, even into Wilson, you are about to see torrential rain. So in Wilson, the rain is going to be absolutely coming down. Winds are going to pick up. That heavy rain is moving through eastern Johnston County right now. All of this is going to be headed into Wayne County. There's even some lightning. So if you do live in Wayne County, you're not under a threat of a tornado right now. If you live in Wilson, you're not under a threat of a tornado right now. But the roads are about to get a lot worse than they have been all day. So I really encourage you to get home, stay home, or just stay in some building. Maybe you're out to dinner, stay there a little bit longer, order dessert, something like that, because it's really about to get a lot worse on the roads with this torrential rain coming down. This rain, this band that's moving through Johnston County, produced some rainfall totals of over 4 inches. I mean, that's some really serious rain in parts of Harnett County earlier, so it's about to really dump rain in our eastern counties. And the rain's really coming down in Clinton right now, but it's about to be a lot worse. If we take a look here on our latest radar scan in Clinton inside the tornado warning, It's not looking any worse, which is good news for us in Clinton. It's not necessarily looking any better. The new scans remain about the same in terms of the intensity of the rotation. Earlier, there was shear levels of about 65 miles per hour. Let me do some comparison here for you. We're going to take a look at the winds moving into the storm and the winds moving out of the storm. So now we're at about 50 miles per hour instead of 65 miles per hour. So the rotation has weakened. And keep in mind a general rule of thumb, and it really changes based on where you are in relation to the radar, but about 80 miles per hour is when you start to get under a more serious threat that there could actually be a tornado on the ground. So at this point, we're not seeing any debris showing up on the radar. The rotation isn't as strong as it was earlier. Those are positive signs. I'm not saying that for you to leave where you are and come out of your closet or your safety place. However, just want to give you a little peace of mind there that it's not looking as bad as it was earlier if you do live in Sampson County, which is good news there. And we continue to keep an eye there on the Clinton camera that you can see on the right side of your screen. The rain's coming down. There's nothing in the distance that looks like a tornado on the ground, and we're not even seeing a wall cloud, which is kind of a precursor, a lowering of the cloud basin in one select area. I'm not seeing any signs of that either, which is good news there in Clinton. But given the fact that we've got this one kind of small, short supercell that's starting to pick up these little storm cells out ahead of it, sometimes when you get that energy, it all kind of comes together. It's not going to create a massive storm or anything like that, but it's able to kind of tap into some of that energy from these smaller cells ahead of it. And given that the storm is traveling along a front that's draped from west to east across our area, that's along that front where we've got a lot of that wind shear, which is the ingredient needed for storms to rotate. These storms don't have a lot of energy to work with. That's what's been limiting the storms in our southern counties today, but it's able to actually grab a little bit of energy from the storms ahead of it, and that's why we're concerned for some rotation within these small supercells that have developed today. Tomorrow, we're going to have another threat for severe storms. Unfortunately, it's a different setup, though, for tomorrow. So I want to take a look here at the radar, what we've got going on right now. All this is going to be moving to the northeast, and by 10 o'clock tonight, it's going to be out of our viewing area, and we're going to be done with it. But let's talk about what we can expect as we head into the late night hours and into tomorrow for tomorrow's severe weather threat. So this evening, we saw widespread rain for the evening commute. We're going to see that rain continue to push to the north and east later tonight. Overnight, we're really not expecting much in the way of rain. It's only about a 20% chance for rain. And I don't think you're going to wake up to rain tomorrow morning. So if you need to do something, run some errands and you need dry weather, it should be cloudy, but things look pretty dry early in the morning. It's as we get toward 2, 3 o'clock that we could see our first storms of the day fire up tomorrow. It's not going to be on a widespread basis. You know, today we've had rain covering the entire map. We're talking a couple of storm cells that could pop up, perhaps in the southern part of our viewing area first tomorrow. But those initial storms that develop closer to 2, 3 o'clock could really pop up anywhere. And we're going to see these stick around throughout the evening hours, and they could last through 9, maybe as late as 10 o'clock tomorrow night before that severe weather threat dies down. It's not a widespread threat. It's a level 1 out of 5 threat for severe storms that we're watching for tomorrow. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Tonight, once these storms clear out of here, it's going to be cloudy and just some rain early in the day. Let's take a look inside the storm here with the latest radar scan. Folks, you know, it continues to weaken. We're starting to see the radar signature die down in terms of the rotation. I am getting some updates from the National Weather Service. I'm going to look over those, and Amy's going to walk you through what she's seeing on the camera right now, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, we were double boxing with Clinton. We're going to stick with this for about 5 more minutes. We just heard from our news director. We're really starting to see this wind down, we think. Now, Clinton, you still have some rain. You still have some gusty winds moving through, and you're still in the tornado warning, but wouldn't be surprised if that gets canceled a little bit early as we start to see that rotation weaken a little bit. But you're still under the warning right now as it continues to push to the east at about 30 miles per hour. And we still have the flash flood warning in effect for most of Wake County. It doesn't include the southern part. They've kind of chipped away at the southern part a little bit, but the rest of Wake County in that flash flood warning until 9 o'clock tonight. It's been a rough evening. There's been a lot happening on the radar, and we still have a ways to go. Our northeastern and eastern counties still still have to get through this band of very heavy rain and potentially some strong gusty winds as it continues to push to the east. So we still have a ways to go, but it's looking like the tornado threat is starting to wind down a little bit. Just one more mention of your tornado safety. You need to be inside in a sturdy shelter, get to the lowest level in the interior closet, away from any windows if you can. Now, this is a very unsettled weather pattern that we've been in. We've had rain on and off all day today, and then we saw the severe weather that we have right now, and we could have another round tomorrow. It's a very unsettled weather environment that we have with a strong southerly flow that will continue tomorrow. So we have a level 1 risk for severe storms for tomorrow. Now, the timing for tomorrow would be in the afternoon and evening hours. The morning looks like it would be okay, and I do want to assure everybody we don't expect severe weather overnight tonight while